Hey, SOS. Thank you for being here today. We are having another one of SOS Collaborators Roundtable. We're here with Dan Schell from Clinical Leader. Thanks for being
Hey
here,
guys.
Dan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, as you guys know, these are quite short. We just want to have a quick opportunity to give you some information of some organizations that we're collaborating with that will be in attendance at SOS, and just so that you already know a little bit about their background so that when you meet them, the networking is quick, simple, and straight to the point. So, Dan, if you don't mind kind of giving a little bit of your background and how you're involved with Clinical Leader.
Yeah, I have been with Life Science Connect, which is the company that owns Clinical Leader for 25 years. And Life Science Connect has a number of different websites, everything from pharma manufacturing to cell and gene to outsourcing, whatever. For Clinical Leader, we cover everything from any FDA regulatory or regulated the FDA regulated area from discovery to commercialization, basically. Um, I took over this, like I said, I've been here 25 years, but for the past probably 14 years, I've been working on our other product, Life Science Leader. I was the editorial director over there. And then, as most of us know, our longtime clinical leader, editor, Ed Mesita, unfortunately passed away. And in 2023, I took over for him. So it's been a little bit over a year. It's been quite a learning curve. These two guys that are on the screen here, I've learned a lot from them, and I appreciate that. So it's been great.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. So I'm sure Dan and Brad are very you say knowledgeable about again Clinical Leader and the organization behind Clinical Leader. I'm fairly new, so in this case, how exactly does it benefit sites to use it as a resource? Should if they want to know more about that.
Yeah, so clinicalleader.com, simple enough. We're a ClinOps site, so we cover everything from Brad's favorite DCTs to trial design to whatever within ClinOps. So what I always tell people is we are not a news site, so that's not what we do. And we don't get into the nitty gritty of a actual trial, whether or not it was successful or not. We're focused on the people behind the scenes that are making everything happen. So, I mean, it could be trial design, it could be technology, regulations, recruitment, retention, all those. And then all the plethora of acronyms that I've been forced to learn over the past year and a half. So,
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you for that. Yeah. So in that case, for sites that, let's say, new sites as well as, I mean, obviously sites that have been around for some time, but for new sites, if they wanted to, I guess, know more or be able to know who's behind certain, who are the people they need to know about certain particular topics, like for example, you just stated DCTs. Um, eh, that's a resource that they can go on, learn a little bit more. I mean, how often do you guys update that website with your the knowledge or the resources y'all have?
yeah, so first of all, the site has 14 years worth of content on it, so it goes back quite a ways. Second of all, we're a small team. You're looking at me and my partner, Abby Proch, she's the
Sure.
executive director. So oftentimes we get a lot of people that want to contribute content to our site. So Abby is the person for that. You go through her. Um, Key thing is we do not write about vendors or suppliers, and that includes CROs, nor do I interview them. So as the chief editor, I'm sort of the face of the product. I'm the one that you're going to see the most. I'm the one that writes all the from the editors, those types of things. All the other content, Abby is sourcing all of that. But then, of course, we have our Clinical Leader Live, which are exactly that, videos that we produce. This year we'll probably have about 8 of them. And those are on the website also. And those cover a variety of different topics, whatever we see that is hot out there. We have one coming up on the one and done PI myth, whether or not it's a myth or not. and we have a whole bunch of people that are going to be on that. And then we have everything, the one after that in March, on March 27th, strengthening site partnerships. So obviously, as I jumped into this industry, I kind of leaned into supporting sites, and right away I went to SOS and Scope, and so we've done a lot, and we will continue to lean into helping sites, provide them with information that hopefully can make them operate more efficiently. So
I think if you're a site, it's a great website to go to, like, period, if you're in the industry. I think as a site, it's really cool because you get to see who's out there talking about what, outside of somewhere like LinkedIn. Because I mean, again, we have a weird industry, right? There's actually a lot of us, but a lot of it tends to be sort of saturated within LinkedIn. But I've found people on there that I've reached out to from read articles on Clinical Leader. I think he had a recent article written by Paul Ibsen from Continuum. I really like that guy and the work that he's done. I think he's also the one maybe doing the One and Done Myth.
He is, yeah.
Webinar.
Yeah.
So somebody who's site adjacent, I guess, or the work they do is very much involved sites, but you may not run into them if you're sort of in your normal site circle, so to say. So I like that. It sounds like they got you on the road all the time, covering all these conferences, man.
I'm not, I mean,
No?
last year I only went to, yours and Scope, and I went to the Viva user conference. This year I plan to go to some more stuff, for sure. I'm going to be helping out Jess Thompson at Magi. I'm going to moderate one of their panels coming up in May. I hope to go to the Regeneron Biomarker Summit that they put on, because I'd like to check that out. But yeah, I mean, you bring up the whole LinkedIn connection, right? All of us are here because we were on LinkedIn and saw something that interested us. So that example of Paul Ibsen is a perfect one. Paul got into this conversation with people. He had written an article for us, like Brad said, and it basically said, hey, this whole one and done PI thing is a bit of a myth, based upon the research that he had seen from a guy named Harold Glass, who had passed away last year. And so that link led a bunch of people to comment. And one of those people was Ken Getz of Tufts, and Tufts is the, de facto source for all of that data for all those years. And he was like, hey, Paul, I don't know if, I agree with that. And it kind of prompted this back and forth. And then all of a sudden someone said, hey, maybe Clinical Leader should do a live event on this. And I was like, hey, I know the guy at Clinical Leader. I can head, schedule that. And so that led me to connecting with, obviously Paul and Ken, but we're going to have people from Advara on there because they have a whole bunch of research. And that's a good example. I should say, I don't interview, nor do I have as panelists on any of my live events, any CROs or vendors. But in this case, like Paul Ibsen is sort of like one of these thought leaders. He's like Dirk, Dirk Arts, they've evolved beyond, just being a person that works at a vendor or owns the company, So Paul has all of this resource and all of this knowledge base, as do these other folks that are going to be on that. So it's a bit of an exception, but I think it'll work out perfect, because I think everybody's going to present their own findings regarding that one issue. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, I guess going back to you were talking about conferences. So you mentioned that you only went to, at least this past year, to SOS, the inaugural SOS conference in Scope. So what was the reasoning for that? What made you want to actually attend that our first conference?
Well, it was obviously listening to Dan and Brad and Dr. Fox and seeing all the things that were going on in the site world, and the fact that it was the first one. I was curious about that, and you guys killed it, the first time. I mean, obviously, Ashley, you were part of the whole thing too, and there was a whole team behind it. And we have an events department at Life Science Connect. We put on hundreds of webinars each year for our clients, but we also for many years, well, for probably about the past 12 years, we have done the CRO Leadership Awards. And then for our outsourcing site, we have done the CDMO Leadership Awards. And the outcome of those awards are a physical event, that we have at different places. So in the past, we've done it at DIA for the CRO Leadership Awards. And so I know this much about, what it's like to put together an event, nothing like what you guys have done. So, I wanted to see that end of things too, but the topics and the fervor, the interest that everybody was exhibiting around the first SOS, I thought this is my chance to get in on the ground floor and check this thing out. And it was totally worth it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I do remember the article. We're really happy that, you yourself stated that it was kind of like a tribe. It
A
was
tribe called SOS. I thought it was gonna be a hit piece at first.
yeah.
I was like, oh man, Dan wants some beef. Let's go.
Wait for this year. No.
Right. Yeah, no, it was really nice to see that because I guess internally that's how we felt. And even more so during the conference, there was such an energy that it just felt like, our people. It just felt really, really connected and just, I mean, it was just insane. And so to know that, you felt the same way, that is reflective of what other people more than likely felt as well, was really nice to see. And, we're definitely doing and pulling all the stops that we can to ensure that we continue, this momentum, and that we just continue to put out good content. And at this point, obviously, one of the differences here is that we wanted to highlight some of the individuals in the industry as we put collaborators, because even if we're not directly doing things together, point is that you're on the same mission and vision to give back to the sites, and bring knowledge and all those kinds of things to individuals that are interested in owning sites or that are just in the clinical industry altogether. And so giving highlight to you guys, and being able to give direct access, and hopefully they'll be able to spot you in the conference and not try to look for somebody that they've never seen before. And yeah, so thank you so much for that.
I definitely need to grow a beard based upon these other two guys. I mean, I need more facial hair so I can be more recognizable. Or I need a camera crew to follow me around like Dan. So
That'll
I
work.
I had put I think it was last year, put an option that maybe we should just order a bunch of Amazon beards so that people hand them out and wear them if they
Oh yeah,
want them.
Ashley won't let that one go, so maybe that one's still gonna be a thing.
That would be pretty cool,
Have to break
honestly.
down.
Yeah.
Wait,
All
can
the
we?
different
What,
colors.
Brad? Hold on. Like this background, we're just not gonna talk about it. What?
Man,
Kixology, or it's really cool, man.
Kixology.
mix,
That's so
I
good.
mix that up a little bit, try to keep it interesting.
It's nice. Is that like a canvas?
Yeah.
Or
That's pretty
okay,
cool.
nice,
those
man.
are actually shoes you own, right?
I mean, a fair amount.
Oh, dang. Wow.
Don't look in my closet.
See the Hirachis on there?
Oh yeah, a lot of the classics.
Oh,
Well, Dan, it was good
Hirachis.
to
I've
see
never
you
heard of that.
at Scope, and thank you for sitting in on the boring panels that I was part of. But
Yeah.
aside from that, what was what's new or like exciting that you're seeing out there? Or was there much that's sort of like what's popping now, or is it sort of more of the same?
Yeah, I think that's it. Dan, when you talk about a hit piece, like I'm not that guy that's going to go and try to pick on someone, and but even in my scope review, both Abby and I wrote scope reviews independent of each other, and we both said the same thing. There really wasn't a lot of new stuff, Yeah, everybody and their brother likes to, say the words AI in some way, shape, or form. And yeah, there are a shitload of patient recruitment companies out there. I mean, they're everywhere, all over the exhibit floor. And it seemed like that was a lot, also. But I mean, other than that, I didn't notice anything, totally dramatically different. I haven't got a nasty email from Micah saying, what are you saying, So I think I'm on base. I remember I was talking to Craig Lipsett one day, and he came right out and said it to me. He's like, I'm not seeing anything really different here. in particular, he even pointed out what we all know, right? Patient recruitment, patient retention, those are still a problem. And they have been for years. And we've been talking about these things for years. It's the same with you guys with SOS, like the budgeting, the payments, those have been issues that have been going on for many, many years. And so that was one of the things that I liked about SOS and Scope. But SOS, I think people probably thought maybe this is just going to be a giant bitch session because of all the people getting together have these similar feelings and complaints and everything. And I was genuine in what I wrote. It was far from that, so if we did move the needle, or if you did move the needle a little bit last year, I'm anxious to see what can happen this year with a 2-day conference. And how many folks do you have coming so far?
I actually don't have the numbers. Do you guys have the numbers? Because
36,452.
no,
Yeah.
that's too
I was
much.
gonna
We're
say
filling up
35.
Staples Center. Staples Center or OKC, where the Thunder play, is full. I don't know. I don't know, man. We actually need to track that stuff better.
Yeah, we
Um,
have our so we're a group of I think what 6 or 7, and then we have our program group. So we're all separated because it's like all hands on deck. 2-day one day event is a lot, and 2 days has been quite the
it's like two and a
challenge.
half. Yeah,
Yeah,
two and a
two and a
half.
half. It's been quite the challenge. So because of that, we're all separate into little groups. So
Sure.
as far as having the numbers right now, that at least I don't have them for sure. So Dan, if you don't have them, or Brad, then our program manager definitely has them. But we definitely have sold quite a few tickets for sure. I
I
mean,
think Chris told the sponsor just yesterday there was like 250 that bought so far, and the last month usually you get the same amount, like double. So we expect like at least what last year was, maybe some more. We have
mhm,
more like sponsors this time, and some actual like pharmaceutical sponsors that are sponsoring and also
mhm.
going to be in attendance. So there's been some growth. We've also upgraded the venue thanks to
Yeah.
Brad. It's like Oklahoma City's finest where we're
Yes.
doing this at. So yeah, we've stepped our game up a bit, but I think what was missing was not having vested interest other than we're all site owners, with the exception of Ashley, but she's basically a site owner too. Um, there's no middleman. There's no like private equity. Hey, let's sell more sponsorships so we can like kick back a return to our investors. We actually don't make money on this. We might out people think I was kidding. We might lose money on this on this year's conference, but that's okay because we want to help sites. We want to help ourselves as well. And I think that's what's missing. And I think if we can blend, this is why I'm excited about collaborating with you. I've had a respect for clinical readers since Ed. He kept it real when everyone else was kind of parroting the same narratives, platitudes. Who wants to read more of that? Much less subscribe to that, like to pay. You guys came out and you did it a little different, and good quality journalism. It's hard to come by. So I think as these two worlds kind of merge, we can create better content for the community in different forms, whether it's meetups, articles, videos, podcasts, whatever.
hmm I think one thing you definitely will see is, I guess given the first day, you saw a lot of the co-founders also on the panels. In this case, we're on there here and there, but we're more also in the background as well. We want to make sure that we give more of the space, obviously, to the community and give space to individuals that usually have not actually been on panels before, that you don't see them everywhere else, and that are also new fresh faces in the industry as well, right? So those are some of the things that we're excited about, and announcing some of the uh, projects that kind of spanned through SOS. And as Dan mentioned, we have a few sponsors showing. I know that you can expect to see AbbVie present. You can expect to see Takeda present. Takeda themselves are an actual sponsor of the event as well, and we're excited because we speak with them. There are actual initiatives that they are currently working on to bring some change to the industry outside of the basic talk. Right, we want to bring on sites, etc. So we're excited. We're going to have some of them on the panel to discuss some of these things, and looking forward to see where it goes. But we hope we bring good knowledge and also entertain as well. I know that the first one was very fun. Um, so yeah, I mean, if there's any feedback, we definitely welcome it. And obviously, once the conference is over, but we hope we surprise you.
Yeah, I would just add one more thing, when going back to Brad's question about scope, and this ties into what Dan said a few minutes ago about, private equity and that whole concept of private equity getting involved with site networks. Yeah, I mean, that I heard about it, scope, but I didn't think that was anything new either. That's been going on now. We've all been talking about it a lot. I think I may have even mentioned to you, Brad, about, some site owners who were starting their own site network that I knew, and I think you knew of them too. And, the whole, hey, if I'm going to be trying to be appealing to private equity firms, what should I do with my site? And then vice versa, if I'm a private equity firm looking for sites. And so I may be, when I talked about live events for Clinical Leader, that may be something that it definitely is going to be something that we'll be covering. We just had some setbacks as far as that topic goes, but we're going to get some more people on board for that and be talking about that. But I would say that's one of those maybe newer topics, like I don't think anybody was talking about that last year at SOS, right?
Not specifically. It is something we're definitely touching on this year, talking about scaling sites, and also I know we've got some investors on some of the panels that talk about some of that stuff. So yeah, it's definitely something we've seen interest in as well.
We've got Shore Capital coming to represent, not as sponsors, but Shore Capital is one of the PE firms coming. We've had site owners that have successfully sold coming on the same panel. Brad, who's doing it solo, independent, who's not selling, at least for last time we spoke.
I'll never sell.
Never sell. So we got like opinions from all angles, and this is a very hot topic, and it was last year too, but it was kind of early, and I think people were a little bit afraid of speaking as they were in the middle of negotiating and stuff. And now the cat's out of the bag. I mean, I think everyone's talking about it openly. So yeah, like real stuff that you wouldn't expect to find other places, or maybe you don't get permission when you're at a larger conference owned by a bigger group. We don't get permission from anyone, just amongst ourselves.
Yeah. I question, Dan. So, given that you have that perspective, is there anything in particular that, I mean, we've already gone through the planning and everything, so I don't know if we could even make many changes at this point, but just curious, is there anything in particular as far as topics are concerned that you've actually had in mind you haven't seen around, or things that you find interesting that you would like to see different?
No, I mean, I think, Dan had mentioned, some of the topics already as far as people that have gone through this. I think that's going to be super valuable. But this whole rise of the site networks, like last year, I felt it was more the rise of the sites, and now it's the rise of the site networks. You've got the new, hopefully I got the acronym right, AMRC, is that right?
Multi-site corporations.
Yeah, right.
MSC.
That's the acronym within the acronym. Yeah. Those are the big guys, I mean, that's the Velocities, and Alcanzas and those types of, there's 14 of them that joined together on this. So that's a new development, and, but, what I'm talking about is the much smaller scale, the one or two. Like I was talking to a site owner, they have about 6 sites, and he said his phone, maybe Dan and Brad can relate to this, his phone rings off the hook as far as with PE firms calling them all the time. If he's going to a show, those are the people that all want to meet with him, is that what you guys are seeing or hearing too?
I mean, I'm not exaggerating, probably had a dozen or more requests in my scope networking from PE, M&A type companies. And yeah. Cool. I mean, I don't really want to talk to you, but that's neat. But so, I mean, obviously it says something about what's going on.
Yeah. You could fill your entire calendar if you're a site owner with PE, and they'll all pitch you like why they're different. At the end of the day, they're all basically the same thing. I mean, they bring money. Like, how much different can money be? It's the same currency. It's not like Trump coin or Melania coin. It's dollar bills. Uh, it's all the same thing, right? It's just a matter of like how they pitch it, and really the freedom they're going to allow you to maintain or not, which is the differentiating factors in my opinion. But yeah, we're in the middle of doing this too with Yuma clinical trials. We're on the fence. We can go the route Brad's going, or if the offer's right, maybe we'll and the right team, which is honestly more important to me than the multiple. We should come up with our own acronym, Brad. Like, you need an acronym for your institution, not selling out. You need to think
No,
of
no more
something clever.
acronyms.
No, then we can create a whole group around it, and then have its own conference, and
And
see
then it'll
just
have its
on
own
and on and on.
funding infrastructure. We only invest in this new acronym type of companies.
Well, I
That'd
like
be
the
crazy.
idea. Yeah, if you come up with your own money and it's Dan coin or something, I'm
Dan
kind of
coin,
behind
yeah.
that one. You know?
You know how close I was? Very close to making an SOS coin T-shirt
Oh,
for the
what?
conference
You
in
should
Angelo.
have, Brad.
That's next year. We need
Next year.
help from the
Next year.
SEC. We need the green light.
That's right.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we are already coming to time, so I'm going to go ahead and get wrapping it up. But thank you, Dan. I really appreciate it. Again,
Sure.
we look forward to seeing you there at SOS, and again, we hope we surprise you. Thanks, Brad and Dan Sfera, for being here today, and for all of you guys watching that will be watching later. So, reminder, from March 13th through the 15th in Oklahoma City, SOS Conference for 2025. If you are going and have not booked your hotel yet, please do so, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody.
Omni, 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 hotel.